By the end of today's episode, you'll know all about how to incorporate and highlight any films or productions that you've produced into your resume. Welcome to the Actor's Career Compass, where we help aspiring screen actors find high-quality auditions, sign with great agents, and book major roles in legit productions. I'm your host, Martin Bentsen, and while casting directors do care about your acting credits, many also care about the producing and directing credits that you might have as well. Why? Well, it tells them that you're serious about your acting career and that you have experience working on both sides of the camera. That means that you may have a little bit more of an appreciation of what it takes to run a shoot, and you might have some skills beyond just being able to take direction. So here's what I'm going to be covering today. Number one is how to add any producing credits that you might have onto profiles like Actors Access or casting networks to impress the casting directors who are looking at those profiles. Number two is how to actually mention your producing credits in other places like your bio or your pitch or cover letter, in other words, right? And then finally, some other ways that you can highlight the directing and the producing work that you've done on camera without using text. Okay, so let's just jump right in. The first thing that you want to do is you should actually create a specific section on your resume that you call like producing or directing or filmmaking, whatever it is, right? So you would put that section onto Actors Access or Backstage or even like your IMDb page. You could have a section for that. And basically, by having a specific section for these non-acting roles, it's just going to highlight them and make them a little bit more like they're standing out and people notice them, okay? So you can call this section like producing credits or self-produced work or productions by, and then you would put your name next to it, right? What you want to include in the actual credits beneath the section is obviously like the title for each of the productions that you've done, whatever your role on it was, like were you a producer or director or writer? And then finally, what kind of project was it? Was it a short film or a web series or a theater production, right? So just, you list the type of production. You could even put it in like parentheses next to it. And then finally, you want to include any like achievements that the project received. So like if you won at a festival or you got a distribution deal or something, right? And so an example of how the credit might look is, let's say your project is called The Bear in the Den, right? So you'd put short film in parentheses, and then you would put my role. So you'd have role, producer, right? And then winner, best short film at whatever film festival 2024. And then you're also going to want to include the website if there is one, right? So you could say like watch here and then the URL for the website like bearandden.com. Now, the next way beyond just the section that you have on your resume and those credits is going to be to actually mention your non-acting skills in the special skills section of your resume. Okay, so you can add skills like producing or directing or budgeting, project development, any of that stuff that's relevant, because when you put those skills in, it's just, again, it's our goal right now is to sort of solidify and add information into the profile that just kind of gets it across the mind of the casting director or whoever's looking at your profile that you can do these other things. The third way that you do this, beyond what we've talked about already, is you can actually add a note about your producing work into your bio and even into the submissions notes whenever you're submitting to different projects. For instance, if you just add a sentence or two into your bio, think of it as like the bigger that the project was that you did and the more that you want people to notice it, the further up in your resume you would want to put it. Right? So if it's a tiny little thing and you just kind of had a minor role with it, well, it could be a little bit further down because it doesn't matter. But if it was like an award-winning film and you won at Sundance or something, you might put that as like your first or second thing in your bio. So because most people don't read the entire bio, right? So, you want to get it right away so that they don't like miss it if they don't read the whole thing. In terms of your cover letters, right? If you're submitting, you can actually mention it in the little submissions note where you write a sentence or two. Like most actors will write something simple like, please see below my submission for XYZ role. But you can actually mention, especially for like smaller projects like independent productions, what you would do is you put this in as sort of like a value add to the filmmaker, and essentially they're going to be more likely to consider you for a role if you can add more to their project than just acting. So one example of this is an actor who I know named Andrew Roth. I actually did a podcast episode with him. I don't remember exactly what number it is, probably in the low 100s. He's a great actor. He has an extensive IMDb list, and he actually used this technique on me. So he mentioned the producing work that he does in his submissions note for a feature film that I was casting. Basically, he said that he would be happy to produce the project by finding cast, connecting me with crew, and even helping get locations. And I wound up booking him for the lead role, which, for someone to just mention that they've done some producing work theirself and get the lead role, that was seriously one of the main reasons, because I was actually considering a different actor for that role. But the fact that he was able to help me with producing it and connecting me with all these people, I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to hire this guy as the lead. And he has a huge IMDb. You could search him, Andrew Roth. The fourth thing that you want to do if your goal is to kind of showcase and get across the idea that you also direct and produce and all of that, is you want to show some samples of the work that you've done, right? So you want to include different links to things like the trailer or a link to the website where you might have some clips, okay? And so again, in the actual credit on your profile, you can include the web link right there. Like, again, www.bearenden.com or something, right? And you can host the video on a website like YouTube or Vimeo and then embed it directly onto your website, or just like putting up some behind the scenes stuff, all of that. But in addition to linking to those actual videos that you have in other places, you could, if you want, just upload the trailer for the films that you've done directly into the media section of your Actors Access profile. Okay, so this way, when people are looking, like a casting director scrolling through and they click on media, you have a couple of things that show your acting ability, but then you also have like trailer for the film I directed, right? And they can click it and like, oh, wow, like this is actually pretty good. This actor does more than just acting. Now, just in case you're worried, you don't have to do this, okay? If you have no interest in directing or producing your own films, it's not the end of the world. This is not something to start stressing out about because it's not a requirement at all. The reason that I did this video, this podcast here today, is simply because so many actors ask me questions about this. And I'm like, you know what? I should do something that kind of outlines ways that they can actually use these things to their advantage. So thanks for listening. Now, if you do want to dive deeper on resumes and kind of like formatting and all of that stuff, two things that I recommend. Number one, I have an article which has some great free resume templates you can download, and it helps with formatting, and it kind of talks about a lot of this stuff. If you search the search term City Headshots, which is the name of my website that it's on, you type City Headshots acting resume, and then the article should show up. It's a real deep dive on acting resumes. I also recommend checking out the podcast that I did. It's called Avoid These Mistakes in the Training section of your resume, and that's episode number 93. What I talk about there is going to be really helpful on how to make your resume stronger, especially if you have limited acting credits right now. Okay. Again, that's episode number 93. Avoid these mistakes in the training section of your acting resume, and it's on the Actor's Career Compass. All right. Lastly, if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, you can learn more about how that works on my website. It's martinbentsen.com. That's my last name, Bentsen. Okay. Love to speak with you, and we'll see if you'd be a good fit for my coaching program. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.